Hey, how are you? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Drew, aka Booty Sweat, and it has been about, well, it's coming up on a year since Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate dropped, and so we've had quite a bit of time, about 10 months, to play around with competitive variations, or custom variations in competitive play. So I kind of wanted to go back and kind of look at some characters that we haven't looked at in a while and see kind of where things are, some interesting ideas that you can go with these characters. And we're going to start with my main, which is Baraka. If you're familiar with me at all, you know Baraka is my main in this game. Has been since release, since before release actually. And so yeah, I just wanted to go back and look at maybe something interesting that, you know, you can kind of apply to your game if you're playing as Baraka or you're trying to learn Baraka. So anyway, without further ado, make sure you like and subscribe, blah, 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 do all that crap. And yeah, let's get into Baraka. Okay, so what I'm not going to do is I'm not just going to remake the same video that I made like 10 months ago, which was all about, you know, how you use gutted. Basically, the two main ones that I use all the time are, they both have gutted, and then one has blade charge while the other has spine burst. Now, this variation is going to actually kind of combine that. We're taking gutted off of the kit this time. Now, I think generally Baraka is best when he has gutted, but the problem is that gutted takes up 2 slots, and when you're playing as Baraka, you'll notice that your damage is ridiculously high, but you don't have much in the way of mix-ups. So his 4 main strings that you're going to be using most of the time are his 1-1-2, his 1-2-2, his back 3-1-2, and his forward 2-1-2, right? So those are the 4 strings you're going to use the most with Baraka. You also use his forward 4 a lot as well. But the problem is only 2 of those contain any form of a mix-up. And by mix-up, I just mean have an overhead. So 1-2-2 has an overhead. Problem is you don't really get a whole lot off of the overhead except for, you know, a knockdown, and knockdowns just really aren't that powerful in this game. As we all know, there's not really such a thing as Okazeme in this game. So really 1-2-2 is mostly going to be used for those big punishes, you know, when someone does something unsafe and then you go into it like this, so that way you can get your big punishes. But the other one being back 3-1-2 could almost be considered a mix-up because it is a low starter and ends in an overhead. Problem is, once again, that is reactable from 10 miles away, and is also flawless blockable. So if you're playing an opponent who's good, you've always got to be worrying about the idea of them flawless blocking you. Now, it's a great stagger tool, you know, going into it and then going into it again. It's a very good stagger tool. The problem is it's not really a mix-up tool. So really, Baraka does loads and loads and loads of damage, but you're almost always, or I won't say almost always, but in a lot of cases you're going to be playing from behind. You're going to basically be robbing rounds with your intense, insane damage output, right? So what if you want to play a little more proactively though? Well, that's why I put together this variation. So this variation is similar to the others in that it still uses spine burst and it still uses blade charge, but we've added leg Kabob. So we're putting those 2 together. Usually it's gutted and then one of those other 2, but we put those 2 together because, I mean, again, spine burst is just so good. It's one of the best anti-air tools in the game. Its hitbox is insane. So if you're not using spine burst ever, you know, if you're struggling against like a Cabal player who's doing lots of air projectiles, or Cetrion who likes to do air projectiles, that sort of thing, spine burst is a godsend. It will really, really help you out with that. Even before the nerf, it made Shiva's Stomp a joke. Like, I had a whole video about how Shiva's Stomp was basically worthless against Baraka if he had spine burst. And so spine burst is a really good move. And then of course we have blade charge. Blade charge is really cool because it gives you a punish option from long range. So if your opponent throws out something from long range that you know isn't safe, a lot of times Baraka can punish with forward 4, but sometimes he can't. So say it's like Scorpion's his death spin that he does. Say he finishes that, you can punish with this, right? It's really fast. It comes out at 16 frames, which is not bad considering how fast he moves across the screen, and it can be really good for that. Not to mention, it gets you a combo off of your forward 4-4 crushing blow. So it's going to be good for that as well. However, The interesting thing about this variation is we've added leg kabob. Now leg kabob is a low hitting restand and will actually give you a legitimate mix up with this character. So you could do back 3-1 into leg kabob. You can do, you know, forward 2 into leg kabob, throw off your opponent. Everyone sees this coming a mile away and will block it 100% of the time. So you could, you know, throw it in the leg kabob after 1-2 and really catch them expecting that overhead. In addition, if you amplify it, you can amplify it and keep them on the same side or side switch. And the other cool thing about amplifying it is if your opponent is stand blocking, in other words, they're expecting the forward or they're expecting the overhead from 1-2-2, then if you amplify it, you'll actually get a crushing blow, assuming they're not in block stun. That's kind of the tricky thing about it, but it'll still work most of the time. And you'll get this nice crushing blow, and you see the bleed on it is just crazy. It's like the gutted crushing blow amount of bleed. So it's a lot of damage, and it actually gives you a legitimate mix-up with this character. Leg kabob is also only -7 on block, so it is even safe on block, and it will catch your opponent if they're trying to flawless block you. So if your opponent is actually good and they're, you know, they're flawless blocking this attack, for instance, so his 1-1-2 is plus on block, right? But it has the flawless block gap. If they're trying to flawless block, you can hit him with leg kabob. It's not gonna work. So it's just really interesting. It's an interesting kind of mix-up, and this combination of moves can also let you get some interesting combos like in the corner and stuff. You're not doing as much damage all at once as you are when you have gutted equipped. However, you're going to be able to get more hits and play a little more aggressively and proactively, I guess. Whereas when I'm playing Baraka, everything is about jailing, everything is about punishing opponents that are doing unsafe stuff. Interrupting strings, you know, doing all that kind of stuff, because that's where you get all of your damage when you don't have leg kabob. But with leg kabob equipped, it actually gives you a little bit of an ability to mix your opponent up. And I've seen a lot of people say, well, why don't you use blood lunge? Because blood lunge is trash. Don't at me. I hate blood lunge. I think it's a bad move. You can't combo into it except like in the most specific circumstances. If you even can. I'm not even sure if you can. But basically, if you have it equipped, your opponent will always be fishing for you to do it, and you're gonna get down to crushing blowed into oblivion. So it's really not. I don't think it's very good. And if you're close, you'll just go straight over them. So I don't think it's a very good move, but I know a lot of people like it. But for this variation, I like to use Spine Burst with Blade Charge with Leg Kabob. And I'll show you a quick combo, an example of a combo you can do in the corner with a restand, like off of the forward 4 crushing blow. And like you see, you can go into whatever mix-up you want to go into because you get the leg kabob restand, and you can really start eating away your opponent's health in a hurry if you have them in the corner or otherwise. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. So I just wanted to show like a little bit of a different, I guess, custom variation that you could use with Baraka. Most people are out here just running gutted with Blade Charge, but which is a great variation. I also like gutted with Spine Burst, but try this one out if you want to be a little bit different, maybe. If you're wanting to, you know, just kind of express yourself a little more, I guess. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. Make sure you have a good one, and be blessed.